Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure you guys have your bell turned on so you guys are notified every time I post. I did miss last Thursday, but I am back. Still gonna try to be as consistent as possible. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it. Okay guys, so as you guys can see by the title, I'm gonna be telling y'all realistically the life of a military child. And I don't see really a lot of videos on YouTube talking about this, and if they are on here, they're not recent or they're not people who look like me. So disclaimer, this is my experience, nobody else's experience. So if yours is different, or you know somebody and it's like, oh, their life was never like that, okay, take into your head, not everybody's experience is the same. Everybody endures different things. So before I get into everything, I would like to say I'm super grateful for the life that I have. So if anything comes off as ungrateful, I would like to make it very much known that I'm super grateful for the life that I have and the life that I have been created upon into the community. Whatever you want to say, the community that I grew up in, I am thankful for it. But my dad joined the Army in 2006. He's a fueler. He's a warrant officer now. Y'all care about the type of thing if you know what that type of thing is. So that is, you know, his status. So basically, since I was 3, I've been a military child. I've lived in Texas. I've lived in Colorado. I've lived in Virginia. Okay, let me do it in order. So take out that. So Texas, Colorado, South Korea, Virginia, North Carolina, Texas again, South Korea again, then to New York, and I go to school in North Carolina. So it's kind of like I'm back in North Carolina again, like, because that's where I'm gonna be full time after I come home for the last time for winter break, because I'm gonna be living on my own. So like I said, I'm gonna be living on my own, and but it's a whole separate thing. But like, I am still a military child, like I will always be one, but I'm not as connected as I was. Like, I do have a military ID. I can't show that, but if I can find an example online, because I can't show mine because it has certain information on there that is like, it's kind of like your social security number. You don't just give that out. So stuff like that is on there. So yeah, I will show an example if you don't know what it looks like. But I've lived in all those places, and I would say Korea and Colorado, like the places I've been the longest in terms of time. Well, like really like back to back was Colorado, because we was there for 4 years. It was cold. Like, I lived a pretty much normal life in a sense of some things. Like, everything wasn't normal. Like, I went to DoDEA schools, which are basically schools on base. I also went to regular schools. I also went to a private school. So I had every kind of school experience possible. I don't have a preference of the schools. Like, public school was kind of like it was a big shocker for me when I first went to public school, because 1st through 4th grade, the first week of 4th grade, I was in a private school. I went to Star Academy. Star Academy is closed. It was the one in Colorado. I don't remember the city, but yeah. And also with that school, it was a great school. You know, we're wearing uniforms. I didn't really see a lot of people in that school who looked like me. There was probably like 3 or 4 of us that I knew, like, off the bat. Like, I can still remember them to this day that looked like me. So that was crazy. Like, I went like 3 years only seeing like 3 people who looked like me, and one of them was one of my closest friends. So that was that. And then I moved to I moved to Korea, and I went to DoDEA, and I saw a lot more people who looked like me. And going to a DoDEA school was a lot different because I was on a base, I was in a new country, and it was a really thrilling experience, because I'm so excited to try the new foods and see all these people, learn new languages, because I had to learn, you know how like in elementary, they had you learn Spanish. I don't know if they still do it with like the younger kids now, but like when I was in elementary, we was learning Spanish, but when I went to Korea, we was learning Spanish and Korean. So it did come to a point where some words were getting confused, because it's like, okay, I'm learning English. Well, I'm not learning English, but you know, we got English, then we got Spanish, and then I got Korean. I loved Korean. I loved everything that we was learning. I went to a summer camp for it. I just loved it. It was really great for me. I love the culture, meeting the people. I really love Korean food. Like, I cannot complain at all. So that was kind of my experience. And then I left Korea the first week of my 6th grade year. And then after that I moved to Virginia, and I stayed there until majority of all from the rest of 6th grade to almost the end of 8th grade. Like, if I would have stayed like a month and a half more, I would have finished 8th grade in Virginia. But we did PCS, and I was really upset about that because I loved Virginia. I loved the people. I was in honors classes. I was ahead. I was doing great for myself. And it was a lot of things that I could do there that I didn't have the opportunity to do at other schools. So when I found out I was moving, I was really upset. And when I moved to North Carolina, it was just kind of like a shock, because for one, our school was so more advanced than them. And also the 8th grade I went to Overhills Middle School, they had teams, and I wasn't on Avid because I didn't take all honors classes. I only was in a couple honors classes, and they wasn't gonna let me go from like Avid for a couple classes back to the regular, which is a stupid idea that you put it like that, because I was an honor student, and I was an honor student for years in a row. So it's not like I was just brand new to it. I was ahead of them. In fact, like, I was ahead of the regular students and the Avid students. So it didn't make sense I wasn't an Avid, because everything that they were learning, I was ahead. And the only teacher who really tried to cater to the fact that I was ahead was my history teacher. He gave me work that was technically for 10th grade because that was the level that I was on according to North Carolina's like curriculum. That's where I was, 10th grade. So I mean, he tried his best to give me work that actually challenged me, or like things that I was just actually learning and not just like a repeat, because everything they was talking about I learned in 7th grade. So I was really confused, like. But being the new kid when it's like the end of the year, that was really hard for me, because, you know, everybody had friends, and I was called the new girl for such a long time, pretty much up until graduation of middle school. And that really sucks, because being the new kid at the end of the year is terrible, because everybody got their friends, everybody got groups, you know. A lot of those teachers didn't really care that I was new. They didn't care to help me out, like, except for the history teacher. Everybody else just kind of just brushed me off, and I'm like, well, do y'all just want me to fail? Like, I didn't understand, because they all put zeros in for work that I was not even enrolled in that school for, which was crazy. Like, you really prepared me to fail, and for what? I didn't understand. So that experience sucked. And like, starting 6th grade in Virginia, after school had already started, you know, a lot of people was really like clinging to me, like, oh, I want to be her friend, da, da, da. And I think it's also because it's like, oh, it's a new person, and it wasn't like too late in the year. But when I was finishing 8th grade in North Carolina, people still was doing that to me, but also it was kind of like I saw the groups already being made, so I was kind of like on edge about that, because I didn't feel comfortable, because I did have friends, but they weren't like people I've known for a while. Like, I knew those people for a couple weeks, and that was kind of it. So when I started 9th grade, in North Carolina, I did finish 8th grade, then I did all of 9th grade, and then the first week and a half of 10th grade. So going into high school, knowing some of those people actually did help. It didn't make me feel as lost, but I really thought I was going to graduate there. That was the original plan. My parents had bought a house there. My 8th grade year, they had bought a house, and we was going between Virginia and North Carolina. And then they bought the house, and then we moved to North Carolina, so we already had a house there. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna graduate here at Overhills High School. That did not happen. So then I went to Harker Heights High School. that was pretty much a nightmare for me. I cried the first day when I had to go to lunch because that school was bigger in mass than both the other high school I went to. So it was so much more people and there was overpopulated. So walking towards the cafeteria gave me mad anxiety. Like I was very much terrified to go in because it was so much pressure on me to make friends with people. And like I said, people already have their friends from middle school or just people they met throughout the first week, and I'm having the pressure of meeting somebody within these 30-minute classes. Like it was a lot of pressure for me to meet people. I'm like, well, let me try to tag along, and then I didn't want to seem like needy in a way because I'm like trying to become people's friends, but like also at the same time I know these people for 30 minutes. It's not, in a lot of classes you don't just really talk to the people. They say, oh, we have a new student, this is her name, da, da, da. It's not like I had like one-on-one time to talk to people. I'm like, oh, you know, we could be friends. Like I didn't really have that, so I literally broke down. I didn't eat lunch. I think also because it was a lot of things going through my head. I hated moving again. I hated being the new kid. I was tired of being the new kid. I was tired of, you know, having to introduce myself to people as the new girl. I was tired of being seen as the new girl. I was tired of, like, you know, the reintroducing of myself. It just like I just wanted to feel like I was in a community and I was growing with the community. It was just like everywhere I went, I'm just the new person. So it was a lot of things going through my head, and I don't think a lot of people who are non-military students understand that process. It is a lot to continue to be the new kid. Like it's a lot on you to continue to be the new kid, and nobody wants to continue to be the new kid because it sucks because you don't know what time you're gonna move. Like I said, I moved at the end of the year, beginning of the year. Like it's just no good time. Like I would say the best time is summer. Like not even, like that's the best time to move because then you're a fresh start, first day with everybody else. But when you're moving and you've already had good friends somewhere where you are, and then you got to make new friends within a month of school being left, or it's like the third week of school and you're brand new, it does not go over very well. So I don't think people really realize that is a factor. Like that's what sucks. And I thought I was gonna graduate in, or not North Carolina, Texas. I was there around January of my sophomore year. Basically was told my dad wasn't gonna be stationed back in Texas, so we either had to go where he was, which was South Korea, or he would be like somewhere else for like 3 to 4 years maybe. I don't really remember how it was going, but that was basically our choices. And I was upset about that because I was getting comfortable there. I was doing municipal court. I was doing dance. I had planned to try out for the dance team the next year. I missed the tryouts because I was not there the year before at the end of the year, and I wasn't allowed to try out. And I was dancing prior to moving to Texas, so it just seemed like every time I got comfortable somewhere, I was ripped from that. And then when I got excited about things, you know, I just had to move on. So I really love municipal court because I want to be a criminal defense attorney, and being a teen attorney really helped me get some hands-on experience, you know, working with it. I was actually in a real courtroom with a real judge, with real prosecutors, real clerks. Like it was real, like everything was real. So it sucks that I didn't get to continue to do that. I also was going to do the deputy program where you ride along, but I didn't get to do that because I moved. Then I moved to Korea again. Korea looked completely different, so it wasn't even like it was the same place because they upgraded the base and everything looked different. But I mean, I was a little bit eased because there was 2 people that I knew from my school in North Carolina, but it was kind of awkward at first because we didn't really know each other like that. Like we knew of each other. Like it was like, hey, you're Denia, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Denia. Like that's kind of how it was. So that was pretty easy. But I graduated from a DoDEA school. So my diploma is very tiny. It's like this big. Everybody else's are like this big. My diploma is this big. But I mean, the diploma size don't matter. But yeah, I think that is like one of the biggest things that people overlook, is what it takes to constantly being ripped away from the community that you are trying to involve yourself in, because you're always told, oh, you gotta adapt, you gotta learn how to do this and you gotta learn how to do that. But it sucks being the new kid. It sucks. Just started over so many times in my life. It just got to a point where I was numb to it. And like I said, I'm very grateful for my life. I'm very grateful for all the things I've seen. But honestly, I wish a lot of the time that my dad would have chose something else. I know why he chose to be in the Army, and I'm very proud of everything that he has done, and I'm glad he loves his job. But I think being a military child, it takes more from you than it gives, in my eyes. And not only with the school, I think also with deployment. Seeing your parent be gone for so long and knowing that you don't get that time back, that sucks. So when people have told me, oh, I wish my parent would have enlisted, I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? You want your parent to be in harm's way when they go to war? You want to not have time back? You think that, oh, because you get a 10% discount at this one shoe store, it's going to make up for the time that you're missing? Like, that's where your head is. That's where I think a lot of people see it. They see discount. They're like, oh yeah, if my parent would have enlisted, discount. And it's like, the 10-15% discount does not give you time back. Yeah, it's nice. And the PX is nice. No taxes there. It's a lot of, great things that are benefits, that you get. But to me, one thing you don't get back is the time. Like, literally, like, for example, I turned 19 in January. My dad is deployed right now. I didn't see my dad on my 19th birthday. I haven't seen my dad in almost a year. Like, he left in October. November. Was it? October, November? I think he left in November of 2021. I saw my dad last in September. So I want y'all to have that sink in. I saw my dad in September. He was still here, but I was in school, so it wasn't like I just can stop everything and kind of just be like, okay, move on with my life. And the last time I saw him was after a funeral. So think about that. Someone had just passed away in our family, and I have not seen my dad since September. It's about to be August. It's almost a full year. So you don't get that time back. You can wish upon a star and, act like things are good, and, you communicate the best of your ability with those people while they're gone, but you don't get time back. You don't get to witness things that you miss. You don't. And some people, their parents don't come back the same. Like, your parent may have left one way, they don't come back the same. They're traumatized. Like, PTSD is real. Like, that's real. So it's a double-ended sword for me, because it's like, on one end you do get these benefits, but at the other end it's like, I hated being the new kid. It just, you don't get time back. And I feel like, for me, honestly, we could have been closer if we had time. And his job is very demanding as is, even when he is here. So I'm not saying my dad is never around, but I'm saying it is a very demanding job. It's not like just a 9 to 5, you clock out at 5, you at home by 6. It's not like that. So when people say, oh, I really wish I had your life, and it's like, for what? For what? We're not millionaires. I think a lot of people also think we're millionaires. We're not. Like, who in the military is a millionaire? Like, let me know. And let's figure out their secrets, because what? Like, I think people are not realistic when they realize what it's like to be a military child. It's not this glamorous lifestyle. It's not a horrible lifestyle either. I'm very grateful for all of these opportunities I had to meet all these amazing people and live in these amazing different environments. But I'm not gonna sit and act like it's such a glamorous thing. It's hard. It's hard. And you are told you gotta be resilient, you gotta be strong, you gotta be brave. And honestly, I'm over it. I was over being brave, and I was over being resilient, because it's just a lot on one person. I feel like it's exciting when you're moving the first couple times, and then after a while it's kind of like, when does this train stop? And when I got to that point where it was like, this is your last stop, I was excited. I was over the moon. Like, I was over the moon. But I don't think a lot of people see that. They just see, oh, you get to travel the world, and you get discounts, and you get this, and you get that, and it's like, you're not seeing the full picture. at all. And I have so many stories I could say about just being in Dodia schools. Like, that's its own story. As like, it's crazy things that have happened in my life, and I'm just like, man, this is crazy. But PCSing is just probably like one of the worst things. Like, I think overall everybody kind of gets over it after a while, but I think I honestly, I could also tell myself I thought I couldn't marry somebody that was in the military, and then when you date someone who mentions that, then you kind of have to be like, well, dang, I gotta be a little bit open to it. But honestly, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to do this lifestyle again. It's a lot. It's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts that are going on. It's a lot of not slack per se, but you know, when somebody's missing from your family unit, somebody has to pick up where that person left off. So it's a lot. And I feel like people just see one aspect and they're like, oh, it's so great. But if you don't see the full picture, you're not looking at it. Like, you look at the glass, you know, half full or half empty, however you look at it. But it's kind of like, you need to see the full picture. You need to see it all the way full or all the way empty, because it's not halfway, either one. Like, you need to see it. I don't even think I used that metaphor right, but it don't matter. It does not matter. I just think people really need to look at it from an honest perspective. But I'm 19 now, and I'm pretty much not really associated with it anymore. Like, my diploma will always be associated with me being a military child. I will always be a military child. Super grateful for every experience that I have had. But I am honestly happy it's over. Like, you know, it was exciting as a little kid, but I don't have childhood best friends. I don't have that normalcy in my life. Even if you're not friends with those people anymore, you can at least say you had that. I don't have a childhood home. I don't have anything like that. So I think I would have really killed killed is not a great word to say. I would have really loved to have that little bit of normalcy in my life. And I think, you know, when I broke down, it was all of that coming back to me, because it's like, you're not normal. Not in like I'm a weirdo type of way, but you didn't live a normal life. You're always constantly moving. And some people, they move a lot more often than I have, and then some people, they've also moved a lot less. Like, I have a cousin, he had the pleasure of going to his high school all 4 years. I went to 3 different high schools. That sucked. I have 3 different high school yearbooks. That's absurd. I have 3 different high school yearbooks. One of them, my picture's not even in. And you wanna know why? I was there too late to get my picture taken. Like, that's crazy. I was very upset that I was not in that yearbook, because even though I started school there late, I'm like, how am I not in these yearbooks? It's crazy to think that, like, I went to this school basically the whole year besides a couple weeks. You're telling me I'm not in the yearbook? For what? Like, for what? Like, it didn't make sense. But I mean, I had to move, and life goes on. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience with being a military child. I think it's not as, you know, complex as you might make it seem. I think really the PCSing is like our biggest thing. Like, that really is. I hope the glare is not too bad on my glasses, or it's just my eyes. But yeah, I think people just need to see the full picture. Like, just look at it completely the way that it is, and understand that it's not as simple as things seem just because you see these people living nicely. And it's not like we don't live nice lives. I think, You just have to experience this lifestyle to really know what it's like. Like, I really do. And I think it's really insensitive to tell somebody, I really wish my parents would join. I'm pretty sure nobody would ever recommend this lifestyle to some people. Like, I think it's a great way to travel the world. You know, young people, when they join, they're like, oh, this is gonna pay for my school. Like, I think it has those great benefits. It has great benefits, but like I said, it takes a lot. Like, with all these benefits comes sacrifice at the end of the day. So if you're not ready to sacrifice all that, it's not as glamorous as it seems. So, and that's not, like I said, it's not to down it. It's not to say like it was terrible. It's just, I really wish I would have had a little bit of normal in my life. Absolutely grateful and so proud of my dad, but a little bit more of normalcy. Like, you know, like just some certain things, like, y'all don't even know. This is one of the crazy things. It's so hard to tell people where I'm from. I was born in Alabama, and I probably lived there till I was 3. Then I moved to Texas, and then, like I said, I moved to all those different places. And when people ask you where you're from, they usually think that's where you live. And then when they think that's where you live, they think that's where you were born. And it's like, no. Guys, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Make sure to comment down below any videos that you'd like me to see. If you have any questions, make sure you also comment those down below. And until next time, we are out. Peace.